databases provides data that we turn into information, then we can make decision upon. It's a decision-making mechanism is using data. Okay? There's some statistics on page 10. It's just telling us that this is the total land area, this is the total sea area, this is the number of people we have. But for that data to become useful information, we should be able to know where the data is located. That location of the data, that information, is very important because the location of the resource determines the next option of how you're going to use that resource. Because everything relates within each other in that location of where that feature is. We all know Manus. We have seen, we all know the information. We have contradicting different information a little bit. While I use the National Census 2011 and 2012 to determine my population data, in here is a bit different. Okay? But Manus is about 60,000 people in 2011 census. Okay? The number of census units is different here, villages is different here. From the 2011 census was about 195. The density here is saying 3%. I don't understand, I don't work it out, but from the density that generated from the database, it's about 26 people per square kilometer. Okay? We should try to see what square kilometer and about 26 people in there. This is the population density of Manus. Okay, knowing the statistics is one thing, but knowing where it is, it's important. We can see, if you want to relate it to service delivery, transportation, locate where the high people are located in Manus. The location of where the population is, it's important. We need to know. We need to know where they are located. That location is important. Then you can talk about service delivery. You can talk about linkages. Okay? So the location is important. You can see along the coast, along the west coast of Manus. We have more people in there than in the other parts of Manus. Okay, the map is in the wrong place. From the database that we generated, the dominant stable food types of Manus is mostly sago. We can see in the map, mash is sago covered, and also cassava and sweet potato in some other areas, followed by those two crops of food. Okay? And yesterday when I was listening to people's reaction from the morning session, they said the major results coming out from our survey is what affects people most is food and water security. Do we continue to eat sago? Well, someone just said, we are tired now, we want to eat RIC. So it's becoming a replacement to sago. Maybe that's an option. Maybe we should start to grow RIC and let sago go. Or do we still want to eat cassava and put sweet potato? When at the market, one sweet potato is 2 kina, how can I afford that for my family of 5? These are some land physical features of Manus. I got the altitude. Okay. Altitude, you can see here much of the island of Manus is on lower grounds, lower sea level. And now we are in a period of increasing impacts of climate change, increasing sea level. Much of Manus, we can see on this map, is in 0 to 100 meters above sea level. Okay. What does that indicate? Indicate that if there is a major disaster, a tsunami, or with increasing sea level over time in the next 20 years, 30 years, some of our land, actually, it is already happening, right? I know that the trees I used to sit on and jump into the sea is about already 50 to 60 meters in the water. Okay. We need to take note of what is there. So much of our land is on lower grounds, 0 to 100 meters. And the next is 200 to 100 meters above sea level. Our highest peak is about 600 to 700 meters, could be the Mount Ramsar highest elevation in Manus. Will all of us fit into that? Another land physical feature is soils, and soil is land, and that's where a lot of our activities occur. So we can identify our soil types and see which are the most useful soils. We can identify our landform. Landform soils get together, development, whether you're building roads, infrastructure, you're building health facilities or educational facilities. These land physical features are important. You can just go and say, oh, this particular village, the kids walk about 20 kilometers each morning, so we need to put a school here, and the place you said here is a swampy ground. We need to identify and assess the quality of the land, the soil, before we start to put any development into place. The location is important. These are the forest resources of Manus. The two economically viable forests are the medium crown forest and the medium crown forest with even canopy. And they're located in there. I didn't want to get any statistics out because I don't know the quantity at this stage. So I don't want to calculate the total area as it is. We can, okay? We can calculate the total area. But knowing where it is, it's important because someone owns that piece of land that the forest is sitting on. There is a landowner to it. It belongs to a LLG boundary. It belongs to someone. Okay. These are the marine resources of Manus. You said we have this number of seas, but where it is located? Okay. Where are the most fishing grounds that the shipping boats go to? Needs to be identified. That location of the fishing ground is important. So we have mangroves, for instance, an important resource. It's only 3.9 square kilometers for the entire Manus, and some of it are being chopped down as we speak. Okay. The reef resources, 1,200 square kilometers of reef resources. Some reefs are still alive. I know some reefs are already dead because of overharvesting, because of increasing sea temperatures. They're dying out. Okay. And we have seagrass, which is an important resource, about 2,600 square kilometers of seagrasses. That is not a statistic, but the location is where they are in the map. The map is showing where the location is. So you will know whether I'm going to harvest those coral reefs and turn them into lime for the market, or I'll go and bring all the clam shells and the sea cucumbers that I could get and put them in this reef, so they will bring in all the fishes, all the fish. Okay? Maybe Prof will say it later, but science has proven that if you remove all the clam shells and all the sea cucumber, your fish stock will decline. Why? Because the fish depend on those baby sea cucumber and clam shell that are being produced. So we need to also understand the science in order to use our resources. These are the socioeconomic resources, where the schools are, the aid posts are, the road locations. I don't know whether all the aid posts are working or not. From Mokoreng, I know that there is a building and there is a medicine in there, but there is no person to administer the aid posts. So whether they are open or not, but they are their location. Okay. Those white lines are the boat routes. Okay. That's another economic venture. Someone can venture into transportation, sea transportation. Those are our boat routes, the 40 horse that goes every day in and out. Those are the routes. It has been mapped. Someone can use that, maybe get a smaller vessel to operate on, an option that is available. We know that our roads, someone has said, it stopped somewhere in town. Someone can also look into that to improve the quality of roads. For some land potential or suitability, if you're looking at agriculture, this is for cocoa. Okay. Looking at Lake Potential, you have some moderately suitable areas for cocoa. This is with low capital input, meaning the land as Mother Nature has given you can produce some cocoa at some rate. And look at the locations of where this land are located, the most moderately suitable land. So as vanilla, okay? I put cocoa and vanilla together because those two can go together. If you grow cocoa, you grow vanilla. Okay? One product that is making a lot of money for the country is oil palm. Oil palm can grow anywhere. Okay? You can see in the map, oil palm can do well. Those oil palm need very heavy rainfall during the day or during the night, and it needs a lot of sunlight during the day. And Manus is suitable. You can go into oil palm if you are interested. And oil palm, like New Britain palm oil, they're already having livestock with oil palm. Okay? So you can mix cropping. That's oil palm. Or we can start to can pineapple. Those are my favorite canned pineapples. I see a lot of pineapples at the markets. Why don't someone go and do some downstream processing of pineapples? Just some examples and options. From the database, when I overlay the logging and the mining exploration sites, there are some data that appeared. There are some sites already there for exploration, and they're already logging concession areas in operation. So already logging and mining activities, possibly mining opportunities will occur as well, maybe at smaller scale. One that's closer to home or closer to my heart is conservation. We have all these resources. Look at the Pacific, the smaller Pacific island, the islands that they are not even seen on the map. Manus can be seen on the world map and not these little islands. How are they doing well? It's a lot to do with conservation of their resources, to do with tourism, to do with science and research. They are all important ventures that Manus can also look into. We have a protected area there, I can see it on the map. But I'm coming up and I'm seeing there are a lot of development already going on around the Lonely Breeze and upwards this way. It's a protected area. Okay, some opportunities for resource use. We have seen a background to where the resources are located in the province. Okay? And I just gave you some common ones that we can venture into. So you can see if you go into marine, there is a lot of area there for marine. You can do deep sea commercial fishing to shallow water fishing and diving to coral reef growings and harvesting of corals. Or you can go into sea grasses as a resource. It's an important resource for sea cucumber cultivation and conservation and tourism and science and research. Mangroves have a lot of importance to do with marine products. And also mangroves has importance to do with the impacts of climate change and sea level rise. For land, there is opportunities for agriculture, for conservation, for tourism, just to name a few. Okay? Transportation, land and transportation or transport infrastructure is the missing link we were hearing this morning. If we want to have a free economic zone, we need to get our acts right, and we need to have one of them is transport infrastructure and social and economic facilities, especially socioeconomic facilities. Okay. Education. Maybe we need to start to go into, for instance, technical schools and get more of these young people. This morning we heard that they are going into other social unaccepted behaviors. Maybe we need to empower them by creating technical schools. We need to start to capture what is going around us, this technology that's going around us. There is also opportunities for small business enterprises and others. We need resources. We need technical skills. We need knowledge. We need to start to share knowledge. Someone said we have an attitude problem to this morning. We need to start to share. We need to start to invite our friends from outside, non-Manusians, to help, if they've got the skills and the knowledge, why don't we use them? It's for the development of this place. So why don't we use them? Because they have the skills, they have the knowledge. We shouldn't say, this is for Manus and Manus alone. We should look outside the box, as you've been saying all morning. Start to utilize resources that are available and venture into opportunities to improve the quality of life. Our overall objective in here is to improve household income, improve livelihood, you improve community, you improve the province overall standard. So not that more drink glass water and about and making a lot of noise, so you have O2 and O3 in here. That should be the overall objective. We need to ask questions. Population is increasing and our resources, natural resources, is limited. Yesterday I was sitting out there and someone was saying, our forefathers have been there, they've been doing this, so as we and the next generation will do the same. How did you forecast the next generation will be doing the same? Already you are facing difficulties. My one talks from who's are struggling to get as much fish as they can to feed themselves and sell one for tukina to buy sugar. 20 years ago, they were not experiencing that. We have to be realistic. And we shouldn't be saying we are learning from our boo-boos and boo-boos. Time is changing. Climate is changing. We have to be in power with the change. We need to start to ask questions. What resources are available on my land from this clan, my community? Okay. What this resource can be used for? Okay. Is the resource use sustainable? If I'm going to use a mangrove for conservation, is it sustainable? Okay. How will the use of resources improve our livelihood, our society, and to develop our province? Especially to increasing the quality of life. We shouldn't be waiting for remains every time someone dies. Oh, please, manya die now. Please, I some coins come so I'm house cry. I'm tired of that already. And I know my children, after I'm gone, they will say, hey, Mama's a Tingamola, but we don't know him. That risk is there. Future generations. There are a lot of Manusians now, they are brought outside. The children are brought outside. So don't depend on remittance. I'm something about before. Time was Stephen Paul when you had the Governor Blow here, that was what was happening. Now it's going down. We should be realistic. Do we have a land use plan, Manusians? Do we have a land use plan? You can ask questions, you can do any planning, management to your resource in a boundary. There should be a clear boundary, demarcation for that resource. Whether you go by clan boundary, you go by LLG boundary, you go by ward boundary or provincial boundary, that definition of your development should be within that boundary. Don't just say Manus have all this. We shouldn't be using descriptive words. We should be using real numbers and real identity on the ground. A land use plan would indicate the current land uses, just to define the word a little, and intended future uses and development of a particular area, whether it is LLG level, provincial level, ward boundary, my clan boundary. And it contains the design and the development guidelines of specific intended uses, whether it's an economic zone or you're going to plant rubber or fisheries over here or do conservation over there. That is a land use plan. You have identified your resources based on certain criteria, the soil type, the forest type, the clan boundary, the LLG boundary, then you define your land use. Again, with increasing population and with resource scarcity, through good planning we can achieve sustainable use of our natural resources and at the same time increase the quality of our life, and we should feel or achieve real development. We should say we are really developed. Everyone is happy, everyone is healthy. We have really developed. Hence, Manus needs a comprehensive land use plan for sustainable use of its resources. I'm using the word sustainable. Maybe tomorrow it will be defined more clearly. Sustainable, you all know it's a very common word now, but nowadays, meaning you use same reef, low harvest stimulus and nil piece. Now, the same nil piece should be there for your boo-boo to come and harvest it in 5 years, 10 years time, or 20 years time. That is sustainability of the resource. So from different land uses, or from a land use plan, then different land uses of land can be identified, and then we can start to create economic zones from. And land use plan can also help develop relevant policies that guide development. Okay? So we shouldn't be like our friends, the civics, where Maru went and they marked all the land for economic zone for oil palm, and there was no land use plan. Now the civics are up in arms saying, where is your land use plan? How did you develop this economic zone? Because the economic zone is a use of the land. He needs to have an overall land use plan before he can identify available land for oil palm. Now, he has taken all the hunting grassland to plant oil palm. They are saying, that's where we get our mammoth from. That is our cemetery. Why you want to change it to oil palm? There is dispute with land uses because there is no land use plan. Currently, the smallest spatial or geographical area that is mappable is the LLG boundary. Okay? It is the LLG boundary that we can map from. Unless you mistrate all the landowner issues, then we can start to map our ward boundaries. So from a land use plan, LLG can, from an overall land use plan, for instance, for Manus, each LLG can start to develop their own plan based on the bigger master plan and see what is viable for them. Now we heard that Los Tigres and the main island has been chosen for the tax-free zone. Hello, what is there that we can offer? Okata mangrove na swamp here, and so what I will shoot him okata Los Tigres. So what is there? So land use plan is a tool. It gives there is a clear procedure to follow and do a land use plan. It's to do with physical planning, and we have Manusians who are physical planners that are available who can help with the land use plan. Okay. Land use plan help with development plan, where provincial government, LLG, or ward policies can be generated to assist local communities, local people to plan their own use of land. So I've got a ground, and I look at the provincial plan, I look at the LLG plan, I said, okay, I could franchise this as a landowner. Okay? Because if there is no land use plan, there is no sustainable development. And PNG is really lacking in land use plan. When we came in the plane, this person who went to visit the world was coming back, and she was saying, I came to Japan and they are really developed and everything is in the right place and they are really planned. And I whispered to my colleague on the left, because they have a clear, well-defined land use plan. It's only the National Capital District is exercising a land use plan. They have a well-clear land use plan. So they know that this part of Waigani Swamp, 8 miles, shouldn't be put to buildings because it will sink. It's inundated areas. It's only the loose conservation area, and this is a non-government actor. They have gone down to LLG boundaries with a land use plan. They have a clear land use plan. We are also assisting the 10 Kiele conservation area with a land use plan. Because now the non-state actors have realized that the land use plan is the key to sustainable development. So they're taking the lead. And for Manus, there is no much going on with provinces. If Manus can take the lead, now that you have seen your resources, do a land use plan, then you could be the example for the others to follow. Again, the land use boundary can be used, or land use plan can be used to identify boundaries of clan, of district, of ward. It can show conflicting uses of land. Land use plan is a tool for the future planning, and it will assist with land management into the future. One can develop policies based on land use. I'll touch on disaster. Yesterday, I was here. We don't really experience much disaster. Hello, you're already experiencing disaster. That's why you have no water and no food. It's disaster. That's why Ringola Town, Salem Talk, Ringing Beginning, Sunny Sabla Konskam, Planoga Sugar. We're already in disaster. Disaster is real. That's why when you are doing any planning, any development plan, incorporate disaster management into that plan and that activity. So you minimize disaster from the start. Okay? Minimize disaster from the start. Then everything should go smoothly, and then everyone is happy and healthy. Okay, before I finish, I want to stress good use or management of resources will not only cater for the present generation's requirements, but will also meet the needs of the future Manus generations. That we should always keep in mind. Because the next 20, we can predict. 20 years, 10 years, you can predict. No good 10, 20 years, Edwards, who's silent, opinions. You don't say, because my father is start, and I start, and there were only small population. Now time the population go on top in this. Now like time 20 years time, population go on top of that. So how about you bubu Mary by talking about the bubu begin near bubu Mary by start. We need to keep that in mind. We need to open our scope of understanding and to gain knowledge, and also look at the ways of doing things and align with the changes that are occurring around us. So we should be able to take on whatever challenges that come our way, in, especially in the use and the management of our resources. To conclude, it's good that Paul Songer let us know good and come to give me his time. To conclude, Manus has some important resources we have seen, but Manus need a comprehensive land use plan to use and develop its resources in a sustainable manner. Any developmental use of resources should be used in a means to meet the present generation's needs, and the future generations should come and eat the same feast that you ate and your father ate and the bubu ate. Not to say it in legend that the slap fish I'll call him Kuwa, you know, before, but now no God, yeah. Why should your child be listening to, or your bubu be listening to your legend when he should be also seeing it and enjoying it? In doing that, then Manus should prosper. Okay. That is, we can use our resources, but it is important that we have a plan that we use as a guide, as a tool to managing our resources. And a land use plan is required for the sustainability of our natural resources. Both natural, socioeconomic, human resources, the capital resources are all very important. And that's all. Thank you so much.